Hi, I'm Dale Goodwin. I'm chairman of the Iron Oaks Finance Committee, and we're here for video 2 of a 3-part series on the FACE Fund vote that's coming up. And with me today is Becky Cole, and we're going to talk about various topics, including the benefits of the FACE Fund, why the increase, the difference from the last vote, the effect on home sales, if any. We're talking about new buyers and their view of this thing, and what's going on in other communities. So, first of all, let's take a look at what the FACE Fund has done over the last 10 years. FACE Fund monies have remodeled the Stone and Barrel. For those of you who are relatively new to the community, that was done in 2016, 4 years after the FACE Fund started. And then a couple of years later, pickleball courts were expanded and a new parking lot was put in. That was also done with FACE Fund votes. And currently, over at Ironwood, we're remodeling the grill on the green. We're spending about $2 million over there. So these are things that have been done with the FACE Fund. It gives you an idea of what the FACE Fund does in this community as far as upgrading communities, or upgrading our amenities, excuse me. So why do we need to increase it? Well, between addressing the needs of our nearly 30-year-old community and the increasing costs of construction, we really believe that it's necessary for the FACE Fund to change how we do it. In other words, right now we're collecting one annual assessment from new homeowners, and we're suggesting that we go to twice that or up to twice that. And the reason why is because of increased construction costs and the age of our amenities. What's different this year in the FACE Fund vote? Well, first of all, there's 2 problems with the vote the last time around. The language was confusing. There's no question. I got a lot of feedback. Everybody who's involved in this got a lot of feedback. People weren't clear on what was happening with the last FACE Fund vote. And they weren't clear on what the money was going to be used for. They weren't clear on a lot of things. So the proposed amendment just didn't get enough votes. It's not that it didn't pass. We didn't get enough votes, period. There were about 1,700, just under 1,700 yes votes last time. And our threshold is 2010. So we got close, even with confusing language. And also, the other thing that was concerning to a lot of people is the last attempt, we were looking at changing the method for upcoming votes. And we're not doing that this time. We've simplified the wording. All we're asking is to increase the amount of the FACE Fund contribution and also to allow a one-time exemption for all homeowners for any sale and repurchase within the community. So that's where we're at this time around, and it's simpler, more to the point, and obviously needed from a financial standpoint. But from your viewpoint, Becky, what's important for having a healthy FACE Fund? What are buyers or sellers, or what's the impact to the real estate market?
Great question, Dale. And I understand that homeowners would be concerned about the impact of the FACE Fund when they go to sell their home. So let's just take a look here. There's an old adage that the past is oftentimes a good indicator of future behavior. So if you look at the chart here, the average sales price has gone up considerably over the last 10, 11 years, and currently is up well over 500,000 average sales price for us here. And as Charlene pointed out in the first video, we didn't even have a FACE Fund in 2010. We voted that in 2011. So if you look at the impact of the home sales, we had 163, I think, in 2010, 165 in 2011, and then it's been well over 200 every year since, and we are well over 200 so far for 2022. So, it has not been a negative impact, and in fact has been positive to some of the buyers that we speak to.
Right. One of the things I noticed when I looked at this chart, home values have roughly doubled in that 10-year period of time. The FACE Fund contribution has not. The FACE Fund is tied to our assessment, which has not doubled over the last 10 years. So I think that's an important thing to note as well.
It is important, and I think buyers understand that. They understand right now with inflation, everything has gone up, and including, I think I saw someplace if we were doing Stone and Barrel today, it would be considerably more than when we did it a few years ago. Right. So costs are up, and that's a good point.
Yeah, I think we spent about $1.3 million on the Stone and Barrel remodel, if I recall, back in 2016. And Finance Committee was talking about this. I think that may be where you got the number. We estimated based on the cost over at Grill and Green, instead of 1.3, we'd probably spend $4 million today for the remodel Stone and Barrel. So that's a really good observation.
Right.
So what are people saying about it though? I mean, with do you get feedback from buyers and do you get comments from sellers?
We absolutely do. And I've taken some comments that I have heard from clients as well as some that other realtors have shared with me. We tend to think of it sometimes as a negative. It's another expense. But buyers actually, a lot of them look at this as a very positive thing. One person said, this was a current homeowner, that said they voted against the FACE fund last time because they didn't understand the language. They thought it was confusing. They weren't really sure what it was all about. But after your presentation, the last time after the McMahon Group master plan, they had an aha moment and they actually understood what it is and they will be voting for it this time. So that was a positive thing. Another client that was moving into the community said when we were looking at retirement communities, one of the considerations was an important solid reserve fund and capital improvement fund because they knew that that would have minimal impact on assessments. Sure. And then frankly, we would not have purchased an Iron Oaks had they not had a capital improvement fund. We wanted to be assured that money would be available to improvements, to our amenities that protect our home values. And then the final one, we purchased an Iron Oaks for a couple of reasons. Diverse amenities and location. We always hear about the location. Iron Oaks was older than many that we considered, and we knew that eventually improvements would have to be made. We chose it over the newer ones because the capital improvement fund was in place to update and remain competitive with other Valley retirement communities. So we are competing with other communities that are newer than ours. Their amenities are newer, and we are aging. So it's important that we have these in place and buyers are recognizing the positive impact.
And capital improvement funds are not news to buyers. They understand them and they appreciate the fact that they're in place.
That is correct.
That's good information to have.
Yeah. We were the only community in 2011 in the East Valley that did not have a capital improvement fund. So, yeah.
So the chart we're looking at now, speak to that because I think this is informative as well.
Okay. Well, retirement communities came into play in the 50s in Arizona, and Sun City, everybody is familiar with in the West Valley, was the first, and it's one of the largest. And it's important, I think, to note that with their age, similar to ours, we're an aging community, they have increased their FACE fund fees to between $3,700 to $5,000 in Sun City Grand. So we are behind the 8 ball, really, in terms of our capital improvement fee. Buyers are not inhibited from paying those fees when they're buying in those communities. And I think it's also important that it's explained properly to a prospective buyer. When a buyer buys a home here, that money that they pay goes into a future fund for future capital improvements. So it benefits the buyer. It doesn't benefit the seller. So as long as the seller understands that and convey that through the realtor, there are many good realtors here that are actively having the buyer pay that capital improvement fund. It's just kind of what has been happening and kind of the expectation.
Right. One of the things that if you do some research about Sun City, the original Sun City, it went through a period of almost decay or decline. And it was because they weren't contributing enough to their capital improvement. And we don't want that to happen here. And that's why we want to get ahead of this game and get the FACE fund up to where it needs to be.
Exactly.
So this is really important information. One of the other things that we talked about was what impact does it have on home sales? You know, if you calculate it out and based on the average home sale price right now, even if we double it, it comes out to about 0.8%. It's less than 1% of the average home sale price that we're asking buyers to kick in for this FACE fund. It's not a lot of money. It's not enough money, let's put it this way, to keep somebody from buying a home. Let's be frank about that. If they don't want to pay it, they may not be the best neighbor. So, you know, that's my own personal view, but, you know, they've got to want to come in and contribute to the health of the community as well. So thank you for your perspective on these real estate information pieces that we've got here. And like I said before, this is video 2 of a 3-part series. So stay tuned. There's another one coming up. And let's get out there and vote, folks. We got to get this passed. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Becky.
Thanks.